We had a strong month for free mobile games, so today gameranx brings you the 10 best free iOS and Android games of August 2016. Number 10 is Midnight Star Renegade, which is a first-person shooter that actually uses a fairly novel control scheme that feels very natural after a short period of time. Being it's a mobile FPS, they had to come up with something that sort of made it work a little smoother, and I think they did. There's also jump boots that you use liberally throughout the whole thing, and it's a fun game. But on top of the fun game, there's also a pretty deep story, which was written by Hugo-winning author John Scalzi. It's certainly an interesting take on the FPS, and I think adapting the genre to mobile is difficult, and this accomplishes it in a good way. Number 9, Masquerade the Faceless is a hybrid beat-em-up action RPG that happens on a 2D side-scrolling plane and drops you into a world of people with various different masks. Masks give you different powers. You can upgrade your masks as well as upgrade your character using the masks. It's a fairly simple system, but it is effective. But what's more fun is just the gameplay itself. It's satisfying for an action RPG fan or a beat-em-up fan, at least for somebody who likes both like myself. It's certainly wasted a lot of my time. Now, bear in mind, there are a lot of complaints of this game not working well on lower powered phones. So I would say maybe avoid it unless you have a decent phone, but if you have a phone that will play it, this is an absolute must. I enjoyed the hell out of it. Number 8, Tricky Test 2 Think Outside, which completely describes what the game is in the title. It's a puzzle game that gives you these puzzles that seem so mind-numbingly, frustratingly weird that you have to come up with bizarre solutions for that make you feel really smart when you do. Now, it relates it to IQ points and being a genius, but I don't know that I would take it that far, but it has you do some really interesting stuff. Shaking, kicking, tapping. It makes you do things you may not immediately expect to do with a game in order to solve the puzzles. Plus, I really enjoy the minimalist art style. It's a great time waster and can make you feel really good about yourself. Number 7, Zootopia Crime Files Hidden Object. Now, it's very easy to figure out what kind of game this is. If you've played any of the Find the Hidden Object games out there, you know what this is. However, this one combines it with a Zootopia aesthetic and makes it a little bit more friendly to play. Sometimes, I don't know if you know, but they can be a little bit morbid or dark. Not so with this one. This one is safe for children and also the huge swath of adults that love Zootopia. They do a good job adapting the characters to this type of game, and maybe my only criticism is that the wait time for analyzing an object is really, really long. I mean, really long. It can be an 18-hour wait sometimes, and that's kinda Beyond that, it's a great example of this style of game, and it's certainly nice to have one that's a little bit more colorful. Number 6, It's a Space Thing is essentially a fairly simplistic bullet hell game with a great aesthetic, love the color scheme, and a really well-playing 2-player mode. Now, this is an arcade game through and through. You're not going to be expecting a deep story out of this, at least I would hope not. But the shooting and barrier mechanics it offers are very engaging, and by some miracle, there really aren't any quote-unquote freemium type style gameplay elements. It's just a really fun game that's free. Like, if you enjoy any kind of bullet hell game, I would at least recommend giving this one a try. Number 5, Sacred Legends takes MOBA gameplay and puts it with the Sacred franchise, giving you skill-based gameplay plus a plot, which is not something you normally get in a MOBA style game. You can progress through the plot and upgrade your skills, and there's also PvP. Now, it's not necessarily the longest possible game from beginning to end, but it does offer replay value, especially if you enjoy the style of fighting. I did. I thought the fighting was very good in this game, and although it gets a little bit repetitive, it's still definitely worth it. Number 4, Mobius Final Fantasy is an entirely original game that functions in a lot of ways quite a bit like Final Fantasy Record Keeper, except in that the content is all original and not derived from any of the other Final Fantasy games. It does have its own plot, although it's a little bit minimal on that, especially for a Final Fantasy game, but it's forgivable on account the gameplay is very enjoyable. I've said it probably a billion times in gameranx videos, but I'm a big fan of Final Fantasy battles. If you're maybe not super into turn-based combat, it might not be for you, or it might be the thing that turns you on to it. I don't know. I would say it's at least worth your time though. Number 3, FIE Swordplay is a fencing game that's officially supported by the International Fencing Federation, which FIE stands for just in a different language, but this game is actually way more detailed than you'd ever expect it to be. It has beautiful graphics for what it is especially, and some pretty accurate physics from at least what I know of it, as well as some pretty intense customization and asynchronous PvP. The controls are very intuitive too, so it's not hard to pick up and play, but it is a very deep and detailed experience. Number 2, Iron Maiden Legacy of the Beast is a turn-based battle game featuring Eddie from several of the Iron Maiden albums. You might recognize him from Number of the Beast, Killers, Somewhere in Time, Power Slave, and it uses the Iron Maiden music as well as their various pieces of imagery to create an actually pretty good game. I say that because a licensed game like this sounds like a total disaster in the making, and it is not in any way, shape, or form. It actually is really, really good. It also has the bonus of having a lot of Iron Maiden tracks in it, including some previously unreleased versions that were prepared specifically for the game. And finally, number 1 is Chaos Chronicle, which is a Korean RPG that a lot of people have differing opinions on. Some are calling it just a little bit generic, and I'm not going to call it massively original or anything, but it's such a solid game that I feel like calling it generic is maybe a little bit of an overstatement. The story isn't necessarily going to set the world on fire, it's nothing particularly new, but again, the gameplay is incredibly solid. The battle system works on a marching system, which is not something that you would normally experience, and quite frankly, I enjoy it. It's kind of a different take on the RPG battle system that doesn't do too much to alienate, but also mixes it up just a bit. As somebody who really does enjoy RPGs, particularly ones from the East, I had a lot of fun with it. What free iOS and Android games did you enjoy this month? Let's meet in the comments and talk about that. If you enjoyed this video, please click like, and if you're not subscribed, now's a great time to do so. We upload brand new videos every day of the week, and the best way to see them first is a subscription. As always, we thank you very much for watching this video. I'm Falcon. You can follow me on Twitter @FalconTheHero, and we'll see you next time right here on gameranx.